Scores of homeless people who have been living outside the Castle of Good Hope in Cape Town could be forced to find other places to sleep. This follows the city's successful court bid to evict any remaining unlawful occupants by the end of next month. The City of Cape Town says that the illegal occupation is negatively affecting the city's tourism and poses safety risks in the area. Now, for reaction, I'm joined by Ashraf Casiem, Anti-Eviction Campaign Coordinator. Ashraf, thanks for your time. Appreciate you speaking to us. How do you perceive the impact of the evictions on the homeless population in Cape Town, particularly those living around the Castle of Good Hope?
When you say how do I perceive, when it means from my perspective, what does it mean for Cape Town, or what does it mean for the homeless people?
What does it mean for the homeless people?
For the homeless people, it means to an end. So an eviction could mean an end to all their means, if I could put it that way. So for me, evicting them doesn't deal with the problem that they're trying to deal with. Evicting them only takes away the responsibility of actually having homes for homeless people. For instance, the City of Cape Town does not have a plan for housing at all. They are proposing stuff even this year, but they do not have a housing program. So this temporary relief that they're talking about is just that. It's a temporary relief, and then what? So there isn't a program. It's a symptomatic relief. It doesn't deal with the problem at all. We think it's disgusting for the City of Cape Town to try and evict, because remember, it's also an interdict, which means they are restricted. They are now, their movement is now being restricted because of tourism and this motor car racing thing that's going to happen now, and for different financial reasons. No humanitarian reasons at all. If it was humanitarian reasons, they would probably have had them have healthcare workers coming to check them out, cleaning up the spaces around them, providing with clean stuff and things. But that's not their program, obviously. They're trying to monetize the situation, and that's why they had to apply for an eviction.
Ashraf, let's unpack this issue a little. Now, we know that these homeless individuals around the Castle of Good Hope in Cape Town CBD have been living in this area for the last 2 years. Where were they before, and what was the process that led them to them occupying this particular area where they are at the moment?
Homelessness is a direct impact of social welfare economics in Cape Town. It's a direct impact, which means it's a result of non-delivery of the services that had to prevent all these things. That's the first point. But it wasn't 2 years ago that people were living on the road. They were living there 2 years before that, and 2 years before that. Just before, they were not noticed. They were not in the eyes of the tourists, in the eye of international events that's coming to Cape Town. Cape Town is now a very good destination, so everybody wants to be here. And our city wants to maintain this colonial project of Urbs Nullis, this perfect residential and urban spaces, void of any indigenous people that is going to disturb the normal process of, market-related things.
Now, what are the immediate concerns and challenges faced by the homeless individuals who are being evicted?
Firstly, none of them have jobs, so jobs would have been a better fixer. Like a job would have been a fixer. Somebody that's homeless living on the road and is getting a paycheck from time to time, he's going to want to get out of that situation, and he has the means. So that would have been a better situation. That's the small things. Day-to-day living, like trying to survive. Survival is basically what homelessness is about, is surviving. Not only the financial, but also the social, the psychological, like, I don't know if you saw the stuff that they made this temporary area. It looks like Paulsmoor without the bars. It's like, I don't know what they're trying to create. I don't know if that's what they think they will live in. I don't think none of them will go live in there. I think they really don't have no skin on their face, if I must say it like that.
Now, we're having a conversation here with you on Newzroom Afrika. How would you evaluate the city's efforts in meaningfully engaging with the homeless population before proceeding with the evictions?
Absolutely. That had to be a clear sign. The fact that there was no meaningful engagement, or the engagement that the city proposes, and if you don't agree, you disagreeing with the proposal. So this one-sided, this arbitrary agreements that the city wants you to agree to, it's not an agreement. That's not conciliation. And that's trying to force down a triangle into a circle. You know what I mean? Like that's what the negotiation or agreement or whatever they're trying to say. That didn't happen. What happened was they were told, this is what we're going to do, and if you don't accept it, this is what we're going to do. That's not meaningful negotiation. The city, who's supposed to know the laws of this country, supposed to know our constitution do not allow evictions. It doesn't allow evictions. That's why only a court can do it. Evictions in South Africa is unlawful. That is why only a court can do it. Now, in this case, the city of Cape Town obviously had more money and a better lawyer, so they had a better presentation and they won the case. If someone else had done it, they could have won this case just on the basis of our law and the PI Act that is there to protect this people from unlawful evictions.
Well,
this is clearly unlawful eviction.
Ashraf, I suppose the other side of the equation is also that this is state land and it has been occupied, or at least according to the courts, unlawfully.
Yeah, that's when you say it's state land, that's like that is debatable because the land issue is not sorted out. So state land, who's the state then? Isn't the state us, the people? Isn't that the state? If we want to live on that land, why can't it be made comfortable for us to live on that land? I'm just being argumentative about it, but the fact is that you could look at the other side. Why can't they step out and not try to criminalize and evict people, instead share their hand of help, of humanity? South Africa is the humans of the world. Why don't they do it at home? At home, there should be such a policy of reaching out to the despicable people, this wretched of the earth, this homeless, negative eaters and drinkers and sleepers, the people that don't contribute to nothing. They're just wasting our time. We must put them on a place. Stop having that attitude. Start treating them like people. Steve Biko said, if we don't see each other as people, the colonial project will just continue. The rules, the programs, the bylaws, it will just continue until someone says, listen, we are all humans. Do I want to live in this place that looks like Paulsmoor? Do I want to be given a place? Why am I not being given dignity? That would be my question as a homeless person.
And finally, what long-term solutions do you propose to address homelessness in Cape Town beyond temporary accommodation like the safe spaces?
Yes, absolutely. Like for me, it will be the first prize would be to repatriate all the homeless people back to their homes. They won't do that because most people have lost their homes. They're living on yards and places and people. They're drug addicts. There's so much social issues impacted through social policies here in Cape Town and South Africa that it's so hard to go back. That's why they're trying to deal with the symptoms. So for me as a homeless person, what would be the ultimate? If somebody would take my hand and say, listen, I'm going to walk you until you are no longer considered a homeless person. For instance, what would it take to get each homeless person a psychologist? That's very expensive, but not expensive like the lawyers. They just spent millions now to take to court. It would have been much more effective because it would have dealt with their social issues, their personal, their mind things, their drug addiction, their family issues. These are the stuff that must be dealt with first before you can order someone into a jail-like situation. Before you can do that, first psychological. Remember, we come from apartheid, so we're already psychologically mixed up. Nobody has psychologists tending to them after 1994. So yeah, we need all that for our people, not criminalization and interdicting. Remember, if they find that person in that road again, they're going to lock him up because there's an interdict against him. So now we're going to find a whole lot of criminals. No more. They're not going to be considered homeless people. They're going to now be considered criminals. The criminal element in Cape Town. Remember, after they do this eviction, give them another year or two, they're back in those spaces. I promise you. There's no other hope. There's nothing in our communities out here where we live, where all these people come from. There's nothing here for us. Absolutely nothing. That's the best place to be now to survive. really. So long term, unless you have a program, a 3-4 year program, and also involving people in the rehoming for the next 4 years, taking them by the hand, it's just going to, the problem is going to recur and recur and recur. Yeah.
Ashraf Casiem, Anti-Eviction Campaign Coordinator, giving his reaction to Cape Town City's insistence on illegal occupants of state land being evicted. And he says more needs to be done. They certainly need to be held by their hand.